This week at Net for Biz, our guest speaker was Paul Tompsett from LMRT Design, and he gave a fascinating insight into the evolution of logos, which prompted a bit of discussion. So I'll hand over to Paul for the talk, and you can stay for the chat afterwards.
Can you all see that? Yeah. Okay, so this morning I'm going to talk to you about, wait a minute, that's the last slide. Let's start at the beginning, that would be better. About branding and logos and how they're actually changing quite a lot, but maybe you haven't noticed. I'm going to talk about debranding or decluttering of logos and mobile first design. So around 2010, these are a cross-section of logos that were created. As a designer, we had the option to add drop shadows, bevels, quite a lot of detail into logos, and that's what we did, because it was a bit like the Instagram filters. You can do it, so you do. So you see the Barclays and the American Express logo and the ACM logo, they've got graduations. The Apple logo is it's like a beveled effect. The Burberry logo, bottom left, it's a horse and it's quite detailed. That was kind of the style of logos, I guess, 10, 15 years ago. So then, I don't know if you remember this, this was an Apple iPhone 2013, which actually looks really dated now. And what the design was, this was called skeuomorphic design. And I won't say that word again, I'll leave that to David and Lady. I'll call it 3D design because I don't like long words. So the 3D design is essentially making real life objects look a digital version of it, really. So the camera looks like a digital camera lens, the calculator looks like buttons on a calculator. And it's all the idea was, it was because designers, not me, thought that people couldn't envisage how digital relates to the real world. So the idea was make it look realistic and you can imagine it better. Then on September the 18th, 2013, Apple released ISO 7, and Apple, being the mavericks that they are, they had a complete overhaul of design. And as you can see, the camera now has changed from a lens to an actual flat 2D version of a camera. The maps is very simple, and the design was at the time it was really groundbreaking, really, because everyone's used to this 3D design, and it went to this 2D flat, really simple design. When it came out, I thought it was really great. I really liked it. It's my kind of style of design, so it's right up my street. And if you look at the old version now, it does look really old and dated. It looks horrible, really. And when Apple did this, it sort of sent waves across the whole of the graphic design world. Everyone then started changing their logos. You can see the evolution of these two logos. Pre-2013, they were both 3D logos. They've now gone back to, or gone into, a two-dimensional flat version of their logo. Again, there's these brands, global brands, Warner Brothers, Weight Watchers, Post-it, Rolling Stone has lost its drop shadow, Pfizer and Durex have lost their graduation, although importantly, Durex has kept its protective lozenge around it, and Intel and DK. I don't know if any of you got these car brands, they all had like three-dimensional logos. They've all pared back and they've gone very simple now. It's all very two-dimensional. Toyota has even lost its name. Kia, I don't like that logo very much. It looks a bit weird. Burger King has lost some weight. Mr. Pringle has got a bigger moustache. He's got circular eyebrows. He's lost the shape of his face. He's lost his hair. And Dunkin' Donuts has lost its donuts. It's coffee, but it's kept its colours. And then if you go back to, say, something like Google, whose first logo looked like it designed by a 5-year-old, it's gone through the 3D stage, and now it's gone up to a quite simple two-dimensional logo, and it works. Again, same with Airbnb. It's gone through different phases. And with these two companies particularly, when they first started out, they were kind of quite playful, and they then, as they grew, they needed investors and they needed to look more professional. So they've got more professional looking logo to make themselves look more trustworthy and, look a little more professional. Some brands have even decluttered enough to lose their brand name. Nike famously did it in 1995, so we've got the Nike swoosh. Starbucks and Shell. Adidas have recently changed theirs, so it's just the 3 stripes. But I think it's like the Mick George logo, which I don't think is great for Adidas, but it might grow me, but it looks like Mick George to me at the moment. Now there's a new trend with fashion labels. They're called little black dress logos, and they're changing. I'll go back slightly. So a serif typeface, there's two typefaces really. There's a serif typeface and a sans serif typeface. Serifs are, as you see on the picture on the left hand side, the little bits on the of characters that I've circled. So they're called serifs. And a sans serif typeface, as David knows, sans means without in French, means without. So a sans serif typeface is a kind of clean, easy to read typeface. So all these fashion brands who had quite a good identity, really identifiable and individual, have changed to a sans serif logo, which they now use for mainly for mobile phones, and it's called mobile first design, because on a mobile phone you can see a logo clearer or text clearer if it's sans serif. But I think they've all lost their individuality. They're all like a bit same, they're a bit bold and a bit boring really. I prefer the old versions, but that's just me. Yeah, and unfortunately I think that's the way things are going in the future, that we need to design for mobile phones because everyone's got a mobile phone and they're not getting anywhere soon. So that's the way logos are going. They're going to be more simplified and probably look a bit more boring really, but all two-dimensional and less graduations. So that's my talk on logos. Thank you for your time.
Paul, can I ask a question?
Sure.
The ones that you said have kind of decluttered, the likes of the Nikes and the Adidases.
Yeah.
Can you really afford to declutter if you're not already really well known? I mean, would that Starbucks mean anything if we didn't know that Starbucks was Starbucks? I
don't think so, no. I think it's only the big global brands. I mean, you can declutter to an extent if you are a smaller business, but it's just, I mean, the Nike, for instance, is the best, well, and Starbucks, I guess, they've got no name on there, have they? But I think, they work, I think. The Nike one, the Adidas one, I don't think works. I don't think people recognise those three stripes as being Adidas. So no, in answer to your question, I think you need to be a big global brand to take your name off. But you can declutter if you are smaller as well. But keep your name on there.
Thank you. It's really good. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, and I must say that I got this inspiration from a guy called Ben Scott from Bloomberg Opinion, who kind of did a talk on a similar kind of logos.
Thank you. That's really interesting. Anybody got any other questions for Paul?
I just like the behind the scenes thing, Paul, the fact you've given us a bit of an insight behind the scenes of your business, which I think is really useful and really engaging. So thank you for that.
Welcome.
So what's the purpose of a logo, Paul?
It's to create, so people say the logo is the brand. The logo isn't really just the brand of your business. The brand is your tone of voice, your advertising, and it's the overall package really. The logo is just the symbol that people recognize as your brand really. So it's just, it conveys it obviously in print or on phones now or social media. It's just so it's instantly recognizable as who you are and what you're all about, which is why I think the fashion brands now, they're losing that touch because they all look the same. You've got no individuality, I don't like long words. And so I think they're losing that touch really.
So if you're a small business, either if you're setting out or it's just one person, two people in the business, and you're not ever going to be Nike or Apple where people recognise you and you haven't got a multi-million-pound marketing budget, what are the key things to bear in mind when you're thinking about what do I want my logo to look like, or if you're thinking about having a rebrand and creating a new logo?
Well, at the moment, I would steer away from graduations, bevels, drop shadows, and any kind of 3D look, because it is going to, everything's going more two-dimensional and flat, and it does, because when you put things on the internet, basically the more graduations, the more detail in it, the harder it is to upload. I know it speeds a lot quicker now, but the more detail it is. So to get sharper and quicker and to resize easier, they want to be just flat designs. So, and I would steer away from, but if you go back to maybe this one here, a lot of those that they're quite fitting now and they're almost saying too much. It's just, you need to kind of create the feel of what your business is all about. I'm trying to think what a good example is there. Batman's quite a good one because it's very simple and plain. But Burger King is probably an exception there, because most businesses there don't show what they do. I mean, obviously Burger King's supposed to be a burger, BAP and the burger in the middle, But a lot of businesses, they try to say what they do in their logo, which, you don't need to. Apple, what does Apple do? It's just try and get the kind of feel of who you are and who you're trying to appeal to with the colours and the shape of, style of your logo.
Any other questions for Paul?
Yeah, I've got a comment. Oh, sorry. I've
No,
got
go
a
ahead,
comment.
Andy.
Comment about the logos. It's from a technical side. The flatter the logo, the easier it is to do as a vector format,
To resize it easier.
which can resize to any size, but while maintaining the same file size.
Which is why the trend stops. The 3D design stopped because you can't resize a graduation as easy.
Not so easy.
And the speed, so that kind of trend stopped. Although when we had all these tools to play with, all these little gadgets, we kind of, it was great, but now it was overdone really. It's 3D overload.
It's a bit like when you first get PowerPoint and you have to do all those screen transitions. You go, oh, look at that whizzes in and that sort of thing, and then you realise you just need to keep it simple.
Yeah, simple is best.
So Paul, if the logo is not really the brand, it's just that sort of recognisability, if that's a word.
But it has to reflect the brand now as well.
I was just going to ask for a brand new business. I can remember the very first thing I did when I started my business was spend ages trying to figure out a logo. Before I'd done anything, I spent ages trying to figure out a logo. How important is it? Whereabouts in the process realistically does it need to come? Is it massively important, or is it not? And I know this is probably not great for you to answer as a graphic designer.
I think no, it is. I mean, if you look at the Google version, would you trust Google, that first Google logo? Would you invest in that business? You wouldn't, would you? Because it looks tacky and it's like a 5-year-old did it. So there is an amount of professionalism. Although the last one, again, the one I've got now, I don't think it looks great really. It looks quite simple and almost too plain, but I'm sure they know what they're doing. But I do think you just need to look professional. I think professional and trustworthy are the two key things. And then be consistent with your logo. Don't keep changing it. Try and be. I mean, my logo doesn't really say very much, but it looks kind of hopefully professional and quite simple really. Which I probably need to change because it's got sans serifs on. Serifs, sorry. So yeah, and the Airbnb, that one there, the 2010 one, I think it's horrible. I think the previous ones were better than that one, but which is why they've changed it, because they think that what they had there wasn't professional enough looking. It needs to be, better looking really.
Most of the others have kind of taken the original theme and adapted it, but Airbnb have completely changed, haven't they?
Yeah, a few times.
One of the interesting things with that one is they've changed their tagline as well. Forget hotels. Book rooms with locals rather than hotels. Travel like a human. Belong anywhere. See the evolution of their thinking and how they brand as well. To belong anywhere. 2 words that capture what they do. It's quite interesting. Okay, any other comments, questions before we say thank you very much to Paul? That was really fascinating, Paul. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
So if that's got you thinking about your logo or any other design needs that you have, graphic design needs, then you can get in touch with Paul. There's his email address, paul@lmrtdesign.com. Give him a call or check out his website, lmrtdesign.com, and look out for more guest expert slots from Net4Biz and the Consulting Room.